I got a new studio. You want a tour? Keep watching. So I was running out of room in my current studio. I thought about renting a studio space, but we have a 2.5 car garage, which is just a short hop, skip, and a jump through our downstairs family room. So we decided to renovate the garage instead. I mean, why leave the house if I don't have to? It was gonna take some work, but I knew it'd be worth it. So my old studio was 120 square feet and it was super cramped in there. For comparison, the garage is almost 550 square feet, plus it has 10-foot ceilings, which opens up the space even more. So we needed a new floor. We needed to paint that awful paneling on the walls as well as the ceiling, fill the holes in the concrete blocks that line the perimeter, and replace those shop lights with LED panels. So after 10 gallons of paint, dealing with contractors to epoxy the floor, about 30 trips to Lowe's and Menards, and 2 months of work, this was the result. It honestly turned out better than I'd even hoped for, so let me go ahead and take you on a tour around each part of the studio and break everything down for you. All right, so first up, let's start out down here, the shelving unit. First thing we got is the Cricut maker up top here. Moving down, I've got the stereo receiver and the little echo here, so I've got surround sound run around the entire studio so I can listen to music while drawing and creating art. I've got the Bluetooth set up for that, or I've also got the vinyl record player down here set up. So the turntable, it's a Kenwood KD650, old school, like 1970s. It's called the Tank because it's made of solid granite, it weighs a ton. And then finally down here, we've got the sewing machine, the Cricut hot press, and then the subwoofer. So that's it for the shelving. Over here, I've got a bunch of storage. So can hold a whole bunch of art supplies in here. Don't have anything in here right now besides a bunch of cleaning stuff. So that's coming later. Then coming up to the main level of the studio here, we've got the first of many tables. So this is just a basic 6-foot workbench. It's gonna be where I do all of the traditional artwork. So anytime I'm doing traditional drawing or painting, that's all gonna be on here. Dyson hot and cool fan here. The Facebook portal here, a couple of Scotty Young figurines here. Down on the bottom here, I've got V-bar lights so I can change the splash lighting against the wall just with the remote here, so we can change these to any color. I was using these before in the previous studio. And then the splash here of color on the walls, these are coming from the newer LED light panels. Those I can adjust the colors straight from the phone app. So very cool to have control over that. And then the first of many toy shelves. Mrs. Dell said, I've got a severe problem. She wants to have an intervention. So we'll talk about these here. Starting down here on the end, I'm a sucker for the classic Migos, and they came out with a full horror collection. So that's what those are, followed by the NECA Toonie Tears. I just love that kind of classic cartoon design of these. Very, very cool. Next shelf here, we've got more NECA stuff. So Puppet Master, Gremlins, Texas Chainsaw, Penguin, Pan's Labyrinth, just a bunch of different stuff. More Toonie Tears here and just extra stuff down here on the end. And then up top on the ends, we've got Living Dead dolls and then the Pop collection in the center. To be honest, not a huge fan of Pops, but there are certain franchises that I love, like the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro stuff. So I had to get those to show love for those franchises. So let's keep moving on down then. Next up, if you remember the before shots, we had this massive exhaust vent hood up here. So tore that out, kind of sealed in the ceiling up there, painted, threw up shelves, and here we've got Disney Infinity. This is the entire 100% complete collection of Disney Infinity. Even ones that weren't released, like this Peter Pan. This was supposed to be destroyed at the factory, but it fell off a truck and made its way to me. So I love that one, I think, the most because it never made it to store shelves. Then over here, in and out this corner, is life-size Sam. It's animatronics, not plugged in though, because it actually is motion censored and he starts doing his little dance and the music plays. But love the movie Trick or Treat, which then leads us over into this shelving area here. More toys. So Trick or Treat, one of my favorite movies of all time, absolutely favorite Halloween movie, but I love that Sam's kind of becoming this horror icon now. So that's his little thing here, 2 shelves, all Sam related, Trick or Treat. Next up here, got Baby Yoda, the child, Grogu, whatever you want to call him, but full shelf there. I love these little Bounty Hunter collection ones. Just the art direction on these is just super fantastic. Love those so much. And then finally, the last toy shelf on this side, just kind of randomness, a bunch of different stuff, just from all different kinds of properties. So that's it for the toys. That leads us down to the next workbench here, which has the Glowforge Pro, which is a 3D laser printer, engraver, etcher, but this thing is fantastic. I'm gonna be doing a ton of videos talking about this in the future. You can kind of etch out on wood like we've got in here now, or you can do acrylic. There's so many different ways that you can do it. This is the Pro model, so that means it's got a pass-through slot. You're limited size-wise here to the width, but not the length, because you can actually feed the material through the pass-through, which is why this one is on wheels. So if we get some longer stuff, we can kind of wheel that around. But a really good way to make money with your art. Like I said, videos coming up in the future, gonna talk about how to take stuff from the iPad, from Procreate, move it over to here, and how to sell your work online using one of these. So stay tuned for those videos. That's something I'm super excited to show you guys in the future. Moving further down here, we've got the portable AC unit. Don't have central air out here. Do have heat, but no central air, so that's what that's for. And then the TV here and stand. Watching TV, not gonna be doing a ton except working on the Glowforge. While that's running, we can watch stuff, but mainly what this is for is to use as a monitor for my camera. So when I'm recording stuff here on the table, I can run an HDMI cable over here, make sure everything's in frame. And when I've got secondary and third camera set up, I can kind of switch the HDMI switcher down there between the different cameras to make sure it looks good for you guys watching at home. So that's it for this area here. Moving further down here, we got this cabinet on the wall. This is for cameras. Kind of walk you through the cameras. Number one, not all the cameras are in here because we are shooting with a Sony a6600 right now. That's my B camera. My C camera here is a Sony a6400. Got the little Sony ZV-1 blogging camera. And then the lenses here, got the 16mm Sigma, 18-105 Sony, 35mm Sony, and then the little kit pancake lens here, along with all the HDMI cables that I run when I use the cameras. Like I said, those are the B, C, and D cameras. We'll talk about the A camera here in a second because that's over top of the main table. So moving down here then, we've got the first mic. I've talked about this in previous videos. This is a Rode NTG8. And then the newer light stand here, C-stand with wheels. So the way this studio is set up, it's so big, I can move around, I can record in different spots of the studio. This thing can wheel around with me and follow me as I go. So I'm not locked in to recording just at one set place like I was in the other studio. Moving further down, we've got the pool table here. Of course, since the garage door is so close, we're not gonna be able to play a ton of pool on here without opening up the garage. But mainly what this is gonna serve as is kind of a staging area for product and just different stuff I'm working on. When we're doing Glowforge stuff, have customer orders to ship out, we can actually lay those out here once they're complete, along with the packing list and the shipping info. So that's what this is gonna be for here. Moving down further then, we've got the studio light. This was in the previous studio, but as you can see, this thing is massive. So it took up a ton of room in that studio. Out here though, totally different story because there's so much room. So this is the Aperture 120D Mark II with the Light Dome 2. And then another newer C-stand here. Obviously this one's a little bit beefier and bigger than the one that's holding the mic. So this is on wheels as well. So like I said, when I move around to different areas in the studio, it can move around with me. I'm not locked in like I was in the previous studio. So then continuing down here, this is a whiteboard that's turned around. This basically has a bunch of ideas that are top secret and I can't show you yet, but you'll find out about those here soon enough. This right here is our mailbox, believe it or not. So mail just gets slipped down in there. I didn't get it today. And here we've got just a charge station for all the different batteries. Seems like every camera takes a different battery, so there's just tons of charging right there. Then further down here, we've got kind of the editing bay is where this all starts. So back here is the Ronin SC gimbal. We've got the loop deck here. This is just kind of a production thing that I can use with Premiere to help edit videos. Makes production a breeze there. A lot of hotkeys that I can use. This one here, MacBook Pro, not an M1, but this is an Intel i9, so it's still pretty snappy. And then the mixing board here is the Rodecaster Pro from Rode. This controls not only the computer and the speakers that go with that, but also any of the XLR mics I can plug into here and record directly here, so pretty handy. Moving further down here, I've got the XP Pen graphics display tablet, a couple of just bins there to keep random things and cords. Down at the bottom, a bunch of hard drives. Got the GoPro Hero 9 back here. This is another monitor that I use. Works as a monitor and a recorder. It's got an SSD, so it can record onto that hard drive as well as the memory card of the camera. And then my Canon printer here. Up top here then, Nightmare Before Christmas, the last part of toy and collectible shelves. So this was the majority of stuff that was in the studio when I first started. If you saw those previous videos, when I first started my YouTube channel years ago, a lot of people commented on all my Nightmare stuff. So that's what this is here, 2 different shelves of that. Then moving down here, I've got giant green screen down here at the bottom. And then Peter McKinnon Nomadic backpack there, which leads us into the editing bay here. So once again, another just run-of-the-mill 6-foot workbench here. Nothing spectacular or special about it, but the Samsung 49-inch ultra-wide monitor display here, the Gibson Les Paul studio monitors on the Kanto metal stands down here. And then I think, honestly, one of my favorite camera kind of accessories, as many as I have, these are just awesome. Aperture MC lights here. Can change these to any color with the app on the phone, and then they're magnetic on the back, so you can just slap them there to anything metal. And we've got this nice color splash there against the back wall. And then finally, we've got this giant empty blank canvas up here. I knew I wanted something on this wall. I wanted to get a cool piece of art up there. Couldn't find anything that fit. So I decided to buy just a blank canvas, and I'm gonna paint it myself. So that's gonna be in an upcoming video. I'm gonna kind of walk you through my painting process on there. Just no time for it yet. So that's coming. Until then, you're just gonna see a big white canvas in the background of the videos. So then finally here, we've got more storage for more art supplies. And then that leads us to the final area, the middle of the studio, kind of the centerpiece of this. This is where I film all of my YouTube tutorials on the iPad. So basically what we have here is just a double edge, live edge tabletop mounted to another workbench. This was the same one that I was using in the previous studio. Mounted to the sides here, we've got Shure SM7B mics. We've got 2 of those, and then those are connected into cloud lifters down here that are attached to the legs on both sides of the table. Just kind of boosts what's coming out of there. Got 2 Denon headsets here for listening while we're doing and recording, and then the XLR cables for the mics that then run over to the deck over there, or one of them can run into the camera. So this is my main A-roll camera. This is the Sony FX3. This is kind of nice because this grip at the top, you can actually plug in an XLR mic here. So if I actually record on the Rodecaster, I have to edit the audio to match up with the video. This records it all on the actual memory card, so no reason to go in there and try to match up the 2. So that makes it nice. This then is using a Manfrotto Magic Arm mount here from a pole mounted there in the studs in the ceiling. And then of course, the center here is then the Sketchboard Pro along with the 2021 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. That's where all my recording is done for the Procreate tutorials that I'm sure so many of you guys watch. So that is it for the studio tour. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And thanks for kind of hanging in there with me as we went through the journey the last 2 months of doing this. I know videos were kind of spread out and not the regular rotation that you're used to, but that's all gonna change. It's all going back to normal. But because I've got all this extra space, I can film so many more cool ideas that I haven't been able to. So look forward to that. And that's it for me today. So until next time, keep creating.